The second year of my engagement to Jace, he secretly registered a marriage certificate with his first love. When I rushed to the civil affairs office, they were deeply kissing each other. Seeing me, Jace explained in a calm voice, "Grace is having heart surgery next week. She wanted a marriage certificate." I quietly removed my engagement ring and went to spend the May holiday with my best friend. His friends urged him to apologize to me. Jace scoffed, "Who would marry her after she's been engaged to me? Watch, she'll be crying and begging me to come back in a few days." But later, when he saw me burning the diary that recorded our love, he suddenly lost control and went public on social media, proposing to me. I lay in the arms of his best friend, Evan, lazily commenting under his post, "I don't marry men who've been divorced." Jace was filled with regret, begging desperately for another glance from me. On the bright registration stage, Jace and Grace kissed sweetly and passionately, completely absorbed in each other. Standing by the entrance, I nervously clenched my ring. "Miss, are you here to register for a marriage certificate? Where's your partner?" the staff member's voice suddenly interrupted, breaking the scene on stage. Jace saw me and explained in a detached voice, "Grace is undergoing heart surgery next week and wanted a marriage certificate with me. For your sake as my fiancé, she won't hold a wedding ceremony. Be understanding and don't make a fuss." Jace and I were high school classmates, and we'd been together for 4 years in college. We got engaged after graduation. But what I hadn't expected was that the man who put an engagement ring on my finger a year ago, promising to love me forever, would be getting a marriage certificate with someone else today. "Don't worry, I'm very understanding. Congratulations on your new marriage," I said with a gentle smile, placing my engagement ring on the registration table. Jace frowned slightly, impatiently saying, "Luna, what kind of jealous act is this?" I turned to leave, but Grace rushed down the stage in her wedding dress, tearfully blocking my way. "Luna, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Please don't blame Jace. I'm just scared I won't survive the surgery, and I wanted to experience the happiness of marriage, just in case," she cried. "Don't cry, Grace," Jace comforted her, holding her in his arms as he looked at me with annoyance. "Luna, Grace's heart condition worsens when she cries. Don't you care about her health? We're just registered on paper, you're my real fiancé. After her surgery, we'll get a divorce. Do you really need to call off our engagement over this small thing?" "Of course, it's necessary," I replied with a bitter smile. Grace picked up my engagement ring from the registration table, crying pitifully yet coyly. "Jace, I'm sorry. Luna misunderstood you because of me." She took off her engagement ring, "She must be mad at me." As I walked toward the door, I heard Jace sneer behind me, "Don't worry. Luna has had a crush on me since high school. Even in college, she always came back after a few days whenever she was upset over me hanging out with other girls." Back home, I called my friend Emma and asked if she wanted to go to Huaching for the May holiday. "Luna, I just finished a gallery exhibition in Kyoto. Send me your location when you get to Huaching, and I'll meet you there." At 8 p.m., I arrived at Galaxy Bar in Huaching. After one drink, a refined man walked in from the bar entrance. Immaculate, with dark hair and a beauty mark under his eye, he almost looked like a refined male escort at first glance. But a second look nearly made me choke on my drink. Why was Evan here? Just then, my phone chimed with a message from Emma. "Luna, I had to leave the country urgently, but my brother happens to be in Huaching, so he'll keep you company for a few days. He has both money and free time, so feel free to ask him for anything." It seemed Evan had spotted me and walked over directly. Evan and I were high school classmates, and he was an art student who graduated from Kyoto Music Academy. Now, he's the lead singer of Plana, a top band in the country. The last time I saw him was a year ago when he came all the way from Kyoto for my and Emma's birthday celebration. "Luna, long time no see," he greeted, his deep, pleasant voice carrying that same casual vibe from our school days. "Long time no see." I gestured for him to sit. "What would you like to drink?" "It's on me. You're not supposed to drink, right? No need to ruin your health just because of a breakup." Evan looked at the drinks on the table, his refined brow furrowing. Emma must have told him about my situation with Jace. I forced a smile, and as I looked at the beauty mark under his eye, I hesitated for a few seconds before blurting out, "Evan, stay with me tonight, will you?" A shadow passed through Evan's gaze. Noticing his discontent, I quickly smiled, waving it off. "Sorry, I didn't mean to." "Sure," he interrupted, his lips curving slightly. "I don't remember how we got to the bed." When I opened my eyes, Evan was unbuttoning his shirt. Seeing his 8-pack abs, I couldn't help but gulp. His eyes sparkled with intrigue as he leaned close to my ear and murmured in a low, raspy voice, "Emma said you were broken-hearted and wanted to feel up 10 male models' abs. I've got 8. Want to touch them, Luna? Just for you." "Evan, do you have a girlfriend?" I forced a smile, still hazy from the drink. "Never," he replied seriously. With that, he kissed me gently, as if I were something precious. The scent of peach blossom wine spread, and I felt myself weaken as my robe slipped from my shoulders. Evan's kisses grew more daring. Until I gasped, tears like jasmine petals scattering around us. Evan froze momentarily, then held me gently, comforting me tenderly, slowing his pace. By dawn, I was awake. Or more accurately, I hadn't slept at all. I ended up sleeping with Evan, and to make it worse, he's Jace's best friend. Evan was still asleep, so I carefully got out of bed. When I checked my bag, I realized I only had 200 renminbi, so I left it all on the bedside table. Just as I reached the hotel lobby, Jace called. "Luna, what did you say to Grace again? She suddenly started crying this morning and fainted. If I hadn't rushed her to the hospital, who knows what could have happened. Did you just want her dead because we got a certificate? I told you clearly yesterday, Luna, the position of Mrs. Jace was always reserved for you. You know she has a heart condition, she can't handle stress. Why do you keep doing these childish things?" My fingers tightened around my phone as I replied calmly, "I was busy last night, didn't have time to bother her." "Jace, I know you care about her, but please don't blame me for things I didn't do, alright?" Before he could respond, his friends chimed in. "Sis-in-law, you know Grace's health isn't good. She's Jace's first love, so it's natural he looks out for her. As his fiancé, can't you try to get along? What's the point of arguing with her? Jace treats her so well, and yet you want to call off the engagement. It's ungrateful." "Enough," Jace interrupted coldly. "Luna, where are you? Grace's surgery is scheduled for Wednesday, and her emotions are all over the place. Come to Huashi Hospital and apologize to her to help calm her down." After a moment's thought, I asked, "Did Grace say I called her last night and yelled at her?" "Yes. Sorry, but I was busy all night and didn't even touch my phone." I chuckled softly and hung up, but Jace quickly sent a message. "What did you mean by that last remark? Jace, since you managed to get Grace to the hospital in time, where were you last night?" I replied. It took him 5 minutes to answer. "Grace couldn't sleep last night, so I was just keeping her company. I see her as a sister, there's nothing filthy about it." At 7, Evan found me at a breakfast shop across from the hotel. When I saw him, I couldn't look him in the eye, so I ducked my head and focused on my tofu noodle soup. He sat down and asked in his usual laid-back tone, "Luna, is that all I'm worth to you?" "Just 200 renminbi." I mumbled an indifferent, "Yeah," but seeing his shocked expression, I quickly shook my head. "No, it's not like that." He looked at me, his gaze complicated and unreadable. "Luna, I was serious last night. Don't tell me you were just playing around." "Evan, we're both adults. Last night was mutual. The 200 was just to cover your room fee," I said, meeting his gaze, though my voice was a little hoarse. Looking worried, Evan stood up and brought me a cup of hot water. "Luna, when I saw Jace post his marriage certificate photo on social media, I was really concerned about you. I asked Emma to keep an eye on you. When I heard you were coming to Huacheng, I booked the first flight from Kyoto to get here. Things are over with Jace, so how about giving me a chance?" Hearing this, I only gave a small smile. "Evan, Jace and I were together for 5 years, and he's your close friend. So what? He raised an eyebrow, his dark eyes direct and unapologetic. I'm sorry, Evan, bitterness welled up in my chest, making me pause. He caught my hesitation, giving a casual, unconcerned laugh. Got it. Forget about last night. Even if you were just using me, I don't mind. There are plenty of places to see in Huacheng. I'll keep you company for a few days. 2 days later, Evan suggested taking me to the beach on his motorcycle. When I stepped outside, I saw him leaning against the bike, holding a pink helmet. The sunlight cast a warm glow, and time seemed to pause for a moment. For some reason, I remembered our high school days when he'd race by on his bike with friends. Once on the bike, Evan glanced at me in the rearview mirror, a faint smile in his eyes. Luna, igu fast. Hold on to my waist so you don't fall off. The engine roared, and I hesitated before tightly wrapping my arms around his waist. In the mirror, his face broke into a wide, carefree grin. On the coastal highway, the wind was loud in my ears. It felt like summer had arrived. As the sun sank, the beach was dotted with golden shells, and fishing boats swayed in the distance. My phone rang unexpectedly, and Evan pulled over. Tall and roguishly charming, he looked at me with a gentle smile. Take your call, and I'll snap a couple of pictures for Emma. I saw that it was Jace calling and walked a few steps forward to answer. Luna, where are you? My mom is picking an auspicious date for our wedding. Send her your birth details, he demanded. Furious, I snapped, Jace, have you lost your mind? Wedding? We broke up. If anyone's sending birth details, it should be Grace, she's the one you actually registered with. Still denying it's jealousy? It's been days, and you're still upset? Grace's surgery went smoothly, and we filed for divorce yesterday. As soon as the mandatory waiting period is over, I'll bring you into the Jace family with all due honor. Isn't that good enough? Of course not, I replied, emphasizing that we'd canceled the engagement. Jace's tone turned cold. Luna, don't keep throwing tantrums. My patience has limits. One of his friends interjected, Jace, why don't you apologize? She seems genuinely upset this time. If she marries someone else, you'll regret it too late. On the other end of the line, someone tried to reason with Jace, but he sneered dismissively. She was once engaged to me, who else would marry her? She'll come crying back to me in no time. Exactly. In Jiangcheng, besides Evan's family, no one dares to cross the Jace family. If Luna doesn't marry you, she'll never get married in her lifetime. Fuming, I hung up the phone and turned it off. On the last day of my vacation, I returned to Jiangcheng. After landing, I took a cab to Jace's apartment in Creek Hill. Jace, as the eldest son of the Jace group, moved into this apartment recently as we were planning to live together, although he had been staying at the family estate since taking over the family business. Grace lived in the apartment opposite his, supposedly because their families wanted them close by to look after each other. The last time I was here, I had accidentally left a diary behind, which documented the entire journey of our relationship. I needed to get it back. When I opened the door, I saw Jace in the kitchen, making soup. Grace, wearing a pink dress, was standing close to him, watching the pot. In my memory, this was the first time Jace had ever set foot in a kitchen. He has a sensitive stomach, and when we first started dating, I made him breakfast, which he said was the best he'd ever had. Since then, I'd prepared breakfast for him every day for years, always trying new recipes just to make him happy. Hearing the door open, Jace glanced at me briefly before turning back to the pot. Grace walked over, flashing a sweet smile. Luna, you're back. Jace made soup just for me since I'm being discharged today. You're not jealous, are you? Jace is your legally registered husband. Why would I be jealous? I replied coolly, brushing past her toward the bedroom, but a loud thud suddenly sounded behind me. Oh, Luna. If you don't want Jace to make soup for me, you could just ask. There's no need to push me. Grace was on the floor, red around the eyes, looking pitiful and wronged, as if I really had shoved her. Luna. What the hell is wrong with you? Jace dropped the ladle and rushed over, helping Grace up while glaring at me, his brows knit tightly. Suddenly, his gaze zeroed in on my earlobe. "Luna, what's that?" he demanded. "Are you blind? Can't you tell it's a kiss mark?" I retorted. Jace's face darkened with anger. "Damn it. Who did that?" "Luna, I've never touched you, and yet you'd go and sleep with another man." "Jace, don't let it upset you. Luna went to watching alone. She was probably taken advantage of by some shady men." "How can she tell you the truth if you ask like that?" Grace grabbed Jace's arm, giving me a pitying look. "Luna, a woman with no self-respect is like a rotten cucumber in a field. No man would ever want her. The Jace family has high standards, so if you got taken advantage of while traveling, Jace won't be able to keep you." Slap. I strode up to Grace and slapped her hard, finally seeing her drop to the ground with a scream. I glared at her and demanded coldly, "Grace, who gave you the nerve to slander me right in front of me? You knew Jace had a fiancé and still pushed for a marriage certificate." "I never said a word about it." "Do you think you've really achieved something?" Grace's eyes filled with tears, and Jace looked at me with a mixture of pain and hostility. "Luna, you pushed Grace just now and now slapped her too. Are you really not just bitter and jealous? I admit I was wrong not to tell you about the marriage certificate, but Grace's health is fragile. If you're angry, take it out on me. Jace, believe what you want. I didn't push Grace. I came here today to get my diary, and after this, we're done." I turned, retrieved my diary from the bedroom, and headed for the door. "Luna, are you serious?" Jace called out as I neared the exit. I looked back at him, smiling through my tears. "Jace, I suddenly realized that my high school crush on you was nothing but a joke. Liking you cast a shadow over my life. Back in my senior year of high school, I fell into a river by accident, and when I came to, Jace was the one by my side. That was when my feelings for him first took root. 3 days later, Evan invited me to Plana's anniversary concert, and I agreed. At 7, the stage lights blazed, and the audience erupted with cheers like boiling water. Luna, do you see that? My brother is pretty popular. My dad's been hounding him to come back and take over the family business, but he told him he's still young enough to work another decade. He's chasing his passion right now." Emma pulled out a fan banner from her bag, laughing as she held one end out to me. I glanced at it, noticing it read, "Loving yourself is always Plan A." Plana had 4 members, and after the anniversary song, 3 of them left the stage. Evan picked up a guitar and chuckled. "Next, I'll play a new song I wrote for a friend. I hope she'll be happy every day. The song is called Next Year, Luna." As the guitar played, he began to sing in a low voice, "A kite takes risks for just one string. I want you to know, you'll always be my first choice." Evan's voice surrounded me, tender and almost tangible in its warmth. I couldn't help but recall the words he'd said to me in Huacheng. "Luna, want to give us a try?" Suddenly, Evan's eyes met mine across the crowd, and my heart skipped in time with his song. "Luna, why does my brother keep looking at you? That song was definitely for you. It even has your name in the title. Be honest, are you two hiding something from me?" No, he's looking at you." "What? Don't tell me my brother's gazing longingly at his own sister. That's a little disturbing, don't you think?" Emma gave me a mischievous grin. I felt a bit guilty. While I'd told Emma about some things that happened in Huacheng, I just couldn't bring myself to tell her everything about that night. After the concert, Emma took me backstage. "Hello, I'm Luna, Evan's sister's best friend and his high school classmate." After I introduced myself, a curly-haired guy looked at Evan with a meaningful grin and teased, "Evan, so she's the girl you like? That song you just sang must have been written for her, huh?" His comment made the other 2 bandmates burst into laughter. Evan glanced at them, slightly raising an eyebrow before looking down at me with a warm smile. "Luna, the song was indeed written for you, but it's not a love song like they're saying. Next year, Luna, means that those dark days are behind you. I hope your future will be bright." Relieved it wasn't a love song, I relaxed, though I couldn't shake an odd feeling inside. The next day, Evan texted me. "Luna, are you free this Saturday afternoon? I have a 2-on-2 basketball match with friends in Jiangqing High School and would love for you to come cheer me on. Jiangqing High was my alma mater, so I thought it would be nice to visit. Just after I replied to Evan, Jace's friend Gage sent me 2 voice messages. Sis, are you free this Saturday afternoon? I only listened to the first one. He was probably contacting me about Jace, but there wasn't much left to discuss. Saturday came, and I headed to Jiangqing High. As soon as I arrived at the basketball court, I spotted Jace, wearing a white jersey, facing Evan. So, Evan's 2-on-2 match was with Jace? Gage noticed me, his face lighting up excitedly. Jace, she actually came. Today, you should take it easy. We've all seen how upset you've been these past few days, drowning your sorrows in drinks. Making up with her would be better for you and all of us. Jace glanced at me, his expression cold and indifferent. Why'd you ask her to come? I'm not desperate for a girlfriend. Why should I keep putting up with her unreasonable behavior? He paused, then softened his gaze. I'll go easy on her just this once. If she brings me water, I'll swallow my pride and make up. Their voices were just loud enough for me to hear. Ignoring them, I walked straight to Evan. Luna. Evan saw me and jogged over with a grin. He was tall, with a roguish charm whenever he smiled, which made him even more striking. Here's your water. Good luck with the game. I handed him a Waha drink. He ruffled my hair playfully. Thanks. Since this is the first time you've brought me water, I'm definitely winning today. What do you think you're doing, Evan? Jace stormed over, suddenly punching Evan in the mouth. Evan reacted quickly, landing a punch of his own. Wiping the blood from his mouth, he laughed brazenly. Stealing what? If I recall correctly, your wife is Grace, right? Luna saw the 2 of you sign that certificate herself. Now, she's only your ex-girlfriend. I warned you, if you didn't treat her right, I'd take her away. Evan, don't make empty promises. Jace staggered back a couple of steps, his eyes filled with rage. He seemed ready to go after Evan again when I stepped between them and shoved Jace away. Jace, what's gotten into you? Jace's face flushed as he stared at me, suddenly remembering something. Luna, don't tell me in Huacheng, were you fooling around with Evan? Do you have any idea he's supposed to be my brother? Evan's a star now, he's only playing around with you, he could never be serious. I replied coldly, so what? Jace, you should understand that the moment you signed that certificate with Grace, our engagement ended. Whatever I do or whomever I choose to be with has nothing to do with you. Seeing how resolute I was, Jace softened his tone. Luna, I'm sorry. Grace was about to have heart surgery, and she was terrified she might not survive, so she begged me to register with her. We grew up together, I couldn't say no. We've already filed for divorce, and once the waiting period is over, we can get married. What do you think? I gave him a disdainful look. No thanks. We're no longer engaged, so stop bringing up marriage, it's annoying. Evan, did you invite me here to show off that you're a homewrecker? Really low of you. Jace shot Evan a resentful look before walking off. Evan, that's not cool, man. You're Jace's friend, and you went after his fiancée. Gage gave Evan a look of contempt and then turned to me. Sis, are you an idiot, Gage? Evan interrupted, clenching his fist. Luna isn't his fiancée anymore. Call her that again, and I'll teach you a lesson. Gage froze, then quickly scurried away. Seeing the injury on Evan's lip, I pulled out a cartoon bandage from my bag and handed it to him. But he didn't take it. Luna, I can't see well enough to put it on without wasting this cute bandage. Could you help me? I looked up at him, noticing the playful smile in his eyes. Unwrapping the bandage, I stood on tiptoe, leaned close, and gently placed it on his lip. I pressed it a little harder, just to be playful. Hearing him wince, I laughed softly. Serves you right. Did you invite Jace to the game on purpose? Yes. Evan didn't deny it and then asked with a smile, Luna, when did you start liking Jace? I paused, then pointed to the lake by the library. Back in my junior year, I accidentally fell into that lake. Jace saved me. It was during the first semester of my junior year. One day, my mom called, saying it was urgent. I rushed out of the library, heading for the school gate. As I passed by the lake, I tripped on a stone and, as luck would have it, tumbled into the water. When I woke up, I saw Jace, and from that moment, my eyes were always drawn to him. During those 4 years of college, everyone envied me for having a boyfriend who loved me so much. But no one knew how hard I had worked to win his heart. Evan, what are you looking at? I asked, noticing him gazing thoughtfully at the lake. I waved my hand in front of him to snap him out of it. Nothing. Let me walk you back. Evan smiled at me, and his face lit up with a bright, warm expression. His eyes sparkled with a lively glow. His smile took me back to a few years ago. Jiangqing High School was the best school in Jiangqing. Back then, Jace and Evan, both transfer students, were quite famous. They were both top students, evenly matched. In our second year, Evan and I were placed in the experimental liberal arts class, and he sat behind me for 2 whole years. In my memories, he was cocky and cool, passionate about basketball. After classes, you'd either find him on the basketball court or in the music room. Now, he's still the same, full of youthful energy. At 1 in the morning, my phone kept ringing. When I checked, I saw it was Jace calling from an unknown number, with a few texts full of random characters. I blocked the number and turned off my phone. But the next morning, as soon as I woke up, Grace showed up at my door. She looked worn out but sounded as hostile as ever. Luna, do you know Jace drank so much because of you that he ended up with a stomach hemorrhage last night? He refused to go to the hospital, locked himself in, and wouldn't see anyone. He only wants to see you. Will you come with me to Jace's place? Grace, what right do you have to ask me to see him? As his wife? How generous of you to ask his ex-girlfriend of 5 years to check on your husband. Aren't you afraid we might rekindle old feelings? Grace's face darkened at my words. As a woman, I could tell she loved Jace. She had been sickly since childhood and spent the last few years abroad for treatment. After she returned, she came to me and asked me to break up with Jace, claiming he'd do anything for her. Grace's affection for Jace was something he was well aware of. Since her return, he had clearly focused more on her, frequently taking her on trips, shopping, and indulging her taste in food. Anyone looking from the outside would assume Grace was his girlfriend. I'd confronted him about it, but he claimed it was an obligation from his elders, that he had to take good care of Grace because she had a congenital heart condition. At 3 a.m. the next day, the sound of rummaging woke me up, almost making me think zombies had invaded. I opened my bedroom door to find Jace sitting on the living room sofa, surrounded by scattered things, clutching my diary in his hands. In my anger, I'd completely forgotten I'd left a spare key with him. Seeing me, Jace leapt to his feet, eager to hug me. I stepped to the side, and he fell to the floor. Luna, can we start over? I read your diary, the one you always hid from me. I never realized it was filled with all your love for me. I know you're only with Evan to spite me. I don't care what you might have done with him, as long as you come back to me. Didn't you always want to open a fashion design studio? I'll find a space for you as soon as the sun comes up. You also mentioned wanting 2 cats, I'll get them for you, anything you want. I was wrong. I shouldn't have agreed to marry Grace. I should have explained the truth to you right away. If you were in my position, wouldn't you have done the same for a heart patient? We've been together for almost 5 years now. I've gotten used to having you in my life. Ever since you started treating me coldly, it feels like there's this hole in my heart. It really hurts. He slumped on the floor, talking to himself, like he was telling me his troubles or blaming himself. A hole in his heart? I couldn't help but smile bitterly at the irony. Jace, what's with this craziness in the middle of the night? If you're sick, go to the hospital. I tried to pull him up and drag him out, but he clung to my leg, refusing to let go. I lost my patience and slapped him hard. Jace, can you stop being so childish? You can't even end a breakup cleanly. Instead of being CEO of the Jace Group, why don't you go play in the sandbox with 3-year-olds? Jace looked up, a red handprint stark on his chiseled face. I went straight to the question that had been nagging me. Jace, the person who saved me that time at U Lake wasn't you, so why did you lie? Did Evan tell you the truth? Jace's body tensed, and he looked down, laughing. Yes, Luna, it wasn't me who saved you back then. It was Evan. At the hospital, Evan had gone to change out of his wet clothes. When you woke up and asked if I was the one who saved you, I didn't correct you. I let you believe it was me. I admit I was selfish. I'd already started to like you back then. Evan and I transferred to Jiangqing High School from a private school, and everyone was afraid to cross us. But you were different. As the vice president of the student council, you still held us accountable. When Evan was late, you insisted on marking him down, despite the teacher's objections. That really left an impression on me. The next day, Evan left for a 6-month training camp in Kyoto, and by the time he got back, you'd already fallen for me. So, he never brought up that he was the one who saved you. So that's how it was. Emma had actually told me this yesterday. She said that Evan didn't want her to mention it to me because he was worried it would remind me of the trauma of falling in the water. Jace, do you have a lighter? Lend it to me. Jace looked stunned but pulled out his limited edition lighter. I took it and went to the kitchen to get a basin. Then, I grabbed my diary from his hand, tore out a few pages, lit them, and tossed them into the basin. Luna, what are you doing? Jace's eyes widened, and he tried to get up to stop me, but, still drunk, he staggered and fell again. In that diary, there were 106 entries, each word detailing my quiet love for him. The rest recorded our relationship. Luna, if you keep tearing, it'll be gone. Are you really going to burn our love here? Is there really no chance left for us? My hand stilled briefly. I looked at Jace with an indifferent expression, then threw the rest of the diary into the flames. Watching page after page turn to ash, filled with the memories we once shared, I felt a hollow ache in my heart. But I shouldn't be sad. I just felt a bit of regret for the 17-year-old Jace who no longer exists. After burning everything, I called Grace. Come and take your drunken husband away. Can't manage him yourself? How did you feel so justified to steal him from me back then? She sounded choked up on the other end, but in the end, she said nothing. A few days later was Evan's 25th birthday. After the party, he took me to the beach and confessed his feelings to me. I accepted. When Evan confessed, he said a lot, but he never mentioned that he was the one who saved me back then. When I brought it up, a gentle smile appeared in his eyes. I was afraid that if you knew, you'd agree to be with me just because of that. I want you to truly love me from your heart. That's the only way we'll both be happy. I smiled and stepped forward to hug him. Evan, I really do want to say thank you, and I truly like you, too. You're silly, though. What if I hadn't broken up with Jace? You would have waited in vain all these years. As long as Luna marries me, my 8-year-long crush won't be for nothing. His pleasant voice warmed me, and I broke free from his embrace to look up into his bright, dark eyes. I couldn't think of anything to say, so I stood on tiptoe and kissed him. Early the next morning, social media blew up. The trending topic hashtag JaceandLuna1706 Days of Love hashtag was posted by Jace. When I saw it, I almost blacked out, feeling like my embarrassing past had been exposed. He posted 2 long tweets. The first was about the 5 years of memories we shared, with many details lifted straight from my diary. He'd actually memorized it all after reading it that night. The second was an apology and a proposal. Luna, let's get married. Luna, give me another chance. This time, I'll treat you like a princess, okay? You said you wanted a starlit wedding, I've already prepared it. He even posted photos of the starlit wedding setup he had prepared, exactly in the style I'd once told him about. In Jace's long posts, he mentioned getting married to Grace while we were together. Not a single person in the comments was congratulating him, they all told him to get lost. I thought it was some devoted CEO proposing, but it's just a cheating jerk. Both of them are shameless. What kind of twisted story is this? Engaged and still secretly getting married to his first love? First love? That was Jace's ex-wife. They just got divorced last week. Just as I was about to reply, a big hand reached over from behind me and took my phone away. "Luna, don't look at his collection of romantic quotes," Evan said, pulling me into his arms and kissing my neck. "A jealous man is something fierce like a hungry puppy." After a while of playful wrestling, I picked up my phone, opened social media, and reposted Jace's proposal tweet. "Not marrying a divorce." Those 4 words quickly became a trending topic. Later, Gage told me Jace cried his eyes out that day, calling me countless times. But every call showed as disconnected. Yeah, I'd cancelled my number to avoid his harassment. A few days later, a famous tabloid posted a set of 9 photos of me and Evan kissing by the sea. When I saw it trending, I couldn't even bring myself to look at the comments. Evan is a huge celebrity, and the comments were probably all insulting me. But Emma told me no one was bad-mouthing me. Instead, they were saying Evan and I looked great together. They even noted how cute it was that a famous fashion designer and a top pop band's lead singer were high school classmates. That night, Jace posted a tweet with just a single period. The comments were all saying he was broken-hearted. A few minutes later, Evan posted his own tweet. "After 8 years, I finally got the girl I like. I'll love her for the rest of my life." Jace's perspective: "I lost a girl named Luna. Her life should have been as bright as her name, yet I delayed her youth by 5 whole years. I shouldn't have done that. I truly loved her, but over time, the love wore away, leaving only arguments. In the end, it's my fault for never learning how to love someone properly. I let her down." The day I saw Evan's official announcement, I decided to go abroad for a break. Not long after, Gage called me in a video chat, telling me Luna and Evan were preparing to get married. Evan had designed a cosmic-themed wedding just for Luna, and everyone who saw it said it was romantic. I saw it, too. It really was beautiful. If I hadn't lost her, the groom would have been me. Luna once told me, "Every thread only braves the skies for one kite." She was that thread, watching over me as the kite. Back then, I didn't understand her words, but now I do. But Evan has become that thread, keeping the kite steady in his hands. And now I can only watch from afar. I wish them happiness. They have to be happy. Evan's perspective: "I think I fell for a girl named Luna. The first time we met was at the gates of Jiangqing High School. It was the first time I'd ever been late to school, and before the teacher could even say anything, she marched up and marked me down for 3 points. I'm Evan, the young master of the Evan family, and she dared to mark my name? Fine." I remembered her. The next time we met, she was carrying a stack of math books to the teacher's office and accidentally dropped them when someone bumped into her. I picked up a few books for her, and she thanked me with a casual, "Thanks, classmate." Classmate? I have a name. I'm Evan. She noted my name in her discipline book but couldn't remember who I was. Fine, now I had another reason to remember her. After that, I made my driver circle around each morning, so I ended up being late 12 times. On the 12th time, I asked her if she finally knew my name. "Yuri Evan, the one who's always late," she said, her cheeks a bit red as she showed me her notebook. It was a full page of my name, Evan, written over and over. I have to say, she looked cute blushing like that, and her handwriting was nice, especially when she wrote my name. Luna's parents divorced, and she lived with her mom. Her mother and grandmother ran a bookstore near the school gates, called Next Year Luna. I didn't go snooping for that info. I'm not some creep. I only knew because of her gossip-loving deskmate, Yuan Yuan. One day, I decided to buy a math practice book and had my driver take me to her mom's bookstore, only to find it closed. What a fool. I mean me. I actually went out at dawn to buy a practice book. I think I really was coming down with something. In class, I'd find myself watching her, and even my deskmate noticed, asking me if I liked Luna. Of course, I denied it. There's no way I, Evan, would keep a crush secret. If you like someone, you go after them. Senior year, I was preparing to leave for a training program. When Jace and I were at school, I saw her fall into the river. I rescued her and panicked, giving her CPR. My first kiss, gone. In that moment, I thought to myself, when she wakes up, I'll make her take responsibility for this. When we got to the nurse's office, I left to change clothes, and when I came back, she was looking at Jace with such admiration. I was stunned. Did she like Jace? I didn't get my answer because the next day, I left for training in Kyoto to prepare for the art exams. When the new term started, I noticed her gaze following Jace every day. So, I buried that feeling in my heart. Ridiculous, right? Evan, actually ended up with a secret crush. After the college entrance exams, I heard she was planning to confess to Jace. Yeah, to my best friend. I felt like a clown. Suddenly, I didn't want to go to the same college as Luna. I didn't want to be the jealous third wheel who might explode and hurt her. Luckily, my sister Emma was in the same university as her, so I'd still hear about her now and then. The next time I saw Luna was at Plana's one-year anniversary concert. I'd invited Jace, and he brought her along. But that time, Jace and I argued. He mentioned going with Grace to a private party the next day, but it was Luna's birthday the next day. So what if he's my friend? I couldn't respect someone like that, so I punched him. But then Luna showed up and started comforting him, and once again, I felt like a fool. The day Jace and Grace got their marriage certificate, a mutual friend sent me a picture of it. I was furious, but more than that, I was scared Luna would cry. Emma told me Luna was going to Hua City, so I immediately flew there. She was so lost, drowning her heartbreak in alcohol. I wanted to comfort her. But the words got stuck in my throat. I wasn't good at comforting girls. Especially a girl who just had her heart broken. When it comes to Emma, I just throw a punch. But Luna's the girl I like. I couldn't punch her, could I? Luna ended up spending the night with me. And left me 200 yuan afterward. Am I a gigolo? Is that all I'm worth? I was furious. But when I found her, she was sitting alone outside a breakfast shop, the wind blowing her hair. She looked like a fragile little weed, barely holding on. I ached for her. Such a wonderful girl, why couldn't Jace appreciate her? Well, if he didn't, he could get out of the picture. September 10, 2032. I'm over the moon. Luna and I are finally together. And she even took the initiative to kiss me.